had to take economics, I had no clue what they were talking about. When I took economics as a student in college, I didn't find it particularly exciting, to put it mildly. And I found that my instructors, my professors, were not terribly exciting or enthusiastic either. And so my early experience with economics was to come away from it thinking, this is pretty boring and mostly irrelevant to my life. I hope I can not do that to you. I think economics is very exciting because it's very much about you and me and us and what we're going to do with what we've got. And you know, your decisions may impact me, and my decisions may have an impact on you. And so as we talk about what are you going to do with what you've got, we've got to ask who else is going to be affected in the process. Okay? Now, as we introduce some basic vocabulary, terminology, and even some concepts, along the way I'm going to be asking you to read articles and blogs by people who sometimes have a particular point of view. And it's very important to us in the study of economics and, in fact, in the exercise of logical, rational thought in our lives, to be able to recognize the difference between what people are claiming as fact versus what is just opinion. We try to teach economics, at least the basic concept, we try to teach them in terms of positive economics, statements of fact. If this happens, then this happens. Example, if you raise the minimum wage to $22 an hour, like they're trying to do in France today, $22 an hour minimum wage, one of the things that will happen is that people who are not worth that much, who can't create that much value, people who are unskilled, uneducated, many of them are going to lose jobs because nobody will hire them for $22 an hour. Now that is a fact. I'm not saying everybody will lose their job, but I'm saying that when minimum wage goes up, some people, the people down at the very bottom who are least productive, are probably going to lose their jobs. That's a statement of positive economics. If this happens, this will happen. I didn't say it was good or bad. I just said this is probably what's going to happen. Okay? If, on the other hand, I come out and I say, we really need to raise the minimum wage in this country to $22 an hour because at the current rate, you just can't support a family. That's not very fair. Was that a positive statement? No, that was an opinion. That was my opinion. Or I could come out and say, you know, at $22 an hour, you're going to collapse this economy. Businesses can't afford to operate having to pay their employees that high price, high wage. The only way they can do it is raise prices to the rest of us, and then we can't afford to buy anything, and the whole economy is going to just collapse. Well, that too is an opinion. Okay? It may be true in some cases, but to take that as a universal statement of everything that's going to happen, no, that's just an opinion. So we want to be able to distinguish between positive versus normative opinions or normative statements in economics. Suppose you heard this. We got so many people dependent on welfare in this country that they are avoiding going to work. They can make more money on welfare than they can make working. And so we need to reduce welfare payments and reduce the amount of time you can stay on welfare in order to force these people to get to work. Okay, normative or positive? Mostly normative, okay? Because when you talk to other folks about welfare, they're going to tell you that if you start reducing welfare payments, you're going to take these very same people and make them less able to survive. You're going to punish their children, their families, and you're going to force them out looking for jobs when many of them may not have the skills to get a job. All right? So watch out for that kind of stuff. Let's try another one. Let's see. Going blank here. If you really want to increase education in America, you ought to make college educations free. You ought to let a person come to college, complete college, and then maybe have to serve 2 years in some capacity for the country, as a teacher, as a policeman, firefighter, traffic technician, social worker. In some way, they should have to repay that. Was that a positive statement or a normative statement? When you hear the word should, it's almost always a normative statement. That might be a grand idea. You might agree with it. But it's just an opinion. Okay? So watch out for these normative and positive differences. Identify the normative statements when you see them. I will ask you to read different articles, hopefully from different perspectives. And you, I hope, will appreciate that this may just be this person's opinion, not necessarily based in fact. Although a lot of them will bring up facts to back their opinion. And we want to watch for that too. That can be very educational. And last statement. One of the things I want you to take out of this course is the ability to survey the world around you, read about it in other people's words, see what they're seeing, and find out where the truth is, or at least most of the truth. So I'm hoping as a result of this course, not only will you have a better understanding of what's going on in the world, you will also be willing to expose yourself to the opinions of different people across the spectrum. Whether they're very conservative or very liberal, whether they're very pro-education or anti-public schools, can you listen to multiple opinions and draw from that your own sense of what is correct, what is proper? All right? Thanks.